For 8 years, she raised the baby left on her doorstep as her own, transforming from a struggling single woman into a devoted mother who built her entire world around this abandoned child. But when a sleek black Mercedes pulled up to her modest home and the biological father stepped out, a billionaire tech mogul with an army of lawyers, he thought reclaiming his son would be simple. He believed she was just another naive woman who'd played house with his heir while he built his empire. She let him think that, right up until the moment she revealed the documents that would destroy everything he thought he knew about power, parenthood, and the night he abandoned his baby. What he discovered in her living room that day would cost him more than just his son. It would cost him everything. The morning sun filtered through the lace curtains of Elena Martinez's modest, two-story house, casting shadows across the breakfast table where she helped 8-year-old Noah with his homework. "Mom, why do I have to learn fractions?" Noah asked, his green eyes sparkling with mischief. Elena smiled, adjusting his worksheet. "When you're dividing Halloween candy with friends, you'll be glad you know exactly how much you're giving away." Their house spoke of a life carefully built on a teacher's salary. Nothing fancy, but everything clean and loved. Photos covered every surface: Noah's first day of kindergarten, beach trips, Little League victories. The doorbell rang at 7:45 a.m. Instead of elderly Mrs. Chen, their neighbor who walked Noah to school, Elena found a man in an expensive suit, holding a leather briefcase. "Miss Elena Martinez?" His tone was professionally cold. "Yes?" "William Ashford from Ashford, Klein and Associates. I'm here regarding the minor child residing at this address." Elena's hand tightened on the doorknob, though her expression remained calm. She'd been preparing for this moment for 8 years. "I don't take solicitations. I represent Mr. Donovan Cross. He has matters to discuss regarding the child you've been caring for." The name hit like a physical blow. Donovan Cross, the man who'd left his hours-old son on her doorstep on a freezing December night with nothing but a note. "Please take care of him." "I can't." "I don't know any Donovan Cross," Elena said evenly. Ashford smiled condescendingly. "Mr. Cross will arrive this evening at 6 o'clock. He suggests you make arrangements for the child to be present. Given the circumstances, Mr. Cross is prepared to be generous in compensating you for your time and expenses." "Mom!" Noah called from the kitchen. "Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine, baby. Stay at the table," Eleanor called back, voice steady despite her racing heart. "Ms. Martinez, I don't think you understand who Donovan Cross is. He's the CEO of Crosstech Industries. His resources are considerable. This meeting will happen one way or another." "Are you threatening me?" "Simply stating facts." 6 o'clock. Ms. Martinez. After Ashford left, Elena allowed herself 3 deep breaths before returning to Noah. As she watched him gather his school things, her mind was already working. She walked to her bedroom and opened the bottom drawer of her dresser, revealing a fireproof box she hadn't touched in 2 years. Inside lay documents, photographs, and USB drives, 8 years of careful preparation. "Who was that, Mom?" Noah asked from the doorway. "Just someone asking about the neighborhood," she said, kissing his head. "Nothing important." But as Noah headed to school, Eleanor's fingers traced the edge of the most important document in that box. A recording from her doorbell camera, crystal clear despite being 8 years old. The same recording that captured not just a desperate woman leaving a baby, but voices in the background. Voices that would destroy Donovan Cross's carefully constructed story. She'd built a good life for Noah here. Quiet, stable, filled with love. Now the man who'd thrown his son away like garbage thought he could waltz in and reclaim what he'd abandoned. Elena smiled grimly as she closed the drawer. Let him come. Donovan Cross might be a billionaire with an army of lawyers, but he had no idea who he was really dealing with. A mother's love was one thing. A mother's love armed with 8 years of evidence was something else entirely. Tonight, the man who thought money could buy anything would learn that some things, like the truth, had a price he couldn't afford to pay. Elena's fingers traced her coffee cup's edge as she sat in the teacher's lounge during lunch, her mind far from the ungraded papers before her. Riverside Elementary hummed with its usual controlled chaos: children's laughter, distant piano lessons, cafeteria pizza scents wafting through halls. Earth to Eleanor, called Marcy, the third-grade teacher who'd become her closest friend. You've been staring at that page for 10 minutes. Sorry, thinking about Noah's science project. He wants to build a volcano. That kid's going to be an engineer, Marcy said, settling beside her. Remember when he fixed the school's projector? Even Mr. Harrison couldn't manage that. Pride filled Elena's eyes. Noah had always been exceptional, curious, kind, brilliant, in ways that took her breath away. She'd sacrificed everything to nurture his gifts, saving for piano lessons, helping with advanced reading, driving 2 hours to the city's youth robotics club. Principal Janet Williams entered with characteristic efficiency. Speaking of Noah, I wanted to discuss next year's placement. His test scores are remarkable. Have you considered Westbridge Academy's gifted and talented program? Elena's heart sank. Westbridge cost more than her annual salary. I've looked into it, but they have scholarships. With Noah's scores and your income, he'd likely qualify for significant aid. I'd be happy to write a recommendation. That's very kind, Elena said, knowing she couldn't risk the scrutiny such applications would bring. The adoption papers were solid, but less attention was always better. Her phone buzzed. A text from Grace Chen. Noah got home safe, having snack and starting homework. That lawyer came by again. I told him to get lost. Elena's jaw tightened. So Donovan was already having her watched. Everything okay? Marcy noticed her expression. Fine. Just Mrs. Chen updating me about Noah. The afternoon crawled by. Elena taught her 5th graders about the American Revolution, ran after-school tutoring, attended a staff meeting about the winter concert. Through it all, she maintained her usual demeanor: patient, engaged, professional. No one guessed her mind was calculating contingencies, reviewing 8 years of records, preparing for confrontation. By 4:30, she was home. Noah sat at the kitchen table, tongue out in concentration over math problems. Volcano project materials, spread across newspaper on the floor. How was school, baby? Good. Tommy said his dad could help with our volcano, but I told him we don't need help. We're a good team, right, Mom? The best team, she agreed, throat tight. Elena moved through. Their evening routine, homework help, dinner preparation, piano practice. But she also did things Noah didn't notice. Backing up computer files, sending encrypted emails to certain contacts, placing important documents in her shoulder bag. At 5:30, she sat Noah down. Sweetheart, someone is coming to visit tonight. A grown-up who needs to talk to Mommy about boring adult stuff. I want you to stay in your room while he's here, okay? Noah's face scrunched. Is it about that man this morning? Sometimes she forgot how perceptive he was. Yes, baby, but nothing to worry about. Is he trying to make us move? Because I don't want to leave. This is our home. Eleanor pulled him close. No one is making us go anywhere. I promise. You trust Mommy, right? Always. At 5:55, Elena sent Noah upstairs with his tablet and headphones. She changed into a navy dress bought years ago for parent-teacher conferences, professional but not trying too hard. She positioned herself carefully in the living room. Not on the couch, too casual, not standing, too defensive, but in her grandmother's antique wingback chair, the one piece that spoke of substance and history. She'd arranged the room specifically for this moment. Noah's achievement certificates prominently displayed, photo albums visible, legal books mixed casually with teaching materials. Every detail calculated to send a message. At exactly 6:00, a car engine purred to a stop outside. Not just any car, she recognized the distinctive sound of an expensive Mercedes, the kind that announced its owner's wealth without saying a word. Elena took one last breath, her hand briefly touching the bag beside her chair. Inside, among other documents, lay the recording that would change everything. 8 years of preparation had led to this moment. She thought of Noah upstairs, safe and oblivious to the storm about to break. Everything she'd done, every sacrifice she'd made, every document she'd carefully preserved, it had all been for him, to protect the life they'd built together from exactly this moment. The game was about to begin. And Elena Martinez, mild-mannered elementary school teacher and devoted single mother, was ready to show Donovan Cross that some battles couldn't be won with money or lawyers or intimidation. Some battles could only be won by a mother who'd spent 8 years preparing for war. The doorbell rang at 6:03, a deliberate power play, late enough to show disrespect, not so late as to seem unprofessional. Eleanor waited exactly 30 seconds before rising, smoothing her dress, and walking to the door with measured steps. Donovan Cross stood on her porch like he owned it. At 37, wealth and privilege had preserved him well. Perfectly styled hair, a charcoal suit worth more than her car, and green eyes that matched Noah's so precisely it made her stomach turn. Behind him stood Ashford and another man, muscle disguised in business attire. Ms. Martinez, thank you for accommodating this meeting. Mr. Cross. She stepped aside, noting how his eyes swept her home with barely concealed judgment. Only you, please. This is my home, not a conference room. The muscle stepped forward, but Donovan raised a hand. It's fine, Marcus. Wait in the car. Elena led him to the living room, pleased when he automatically moved toward the couch, while she reclaimed her wingback chair, the psychological advantage of height. She'd arranged everything specifically. Noah's certificates displayed, photo albums visible, legal books mixed with teaching materials. Can I offer you something to drink? Let's skip the pleasantries. We both know why I'm here. I'm afraid I don't. Your lawyer was rather vague. Donovan's smile was sharp. 8 years ago, you found a baby on your doorstep. My son. I found an abandoned baby who became my son through legal adoption. Yes, about that. Donovan pulled out his phone. My investigators have been thorough. Emergency adoption proceedings, filed through family court. You claimed no knowledge of the birth. Parents, interesting considering the note. Eleanor maintained composure. The note said, please take care of him, I can't. Not exactly identifying information. No, But the security camera footage from the ATM across the street tells a different story. Elena felt a flicker of uncertainty. The footage should have been deleted after 90 days. I'm not sure what you mean. Technology has advanced considerably. Facial recognition, image enhancement. It took time and resources, but we found what we needed. December 15th, 2016. 2:47 a.m. A figure approaching your door with a baby carrier. He showed her his phone. A grainy but enhanced image of a woman, not Donovan himself. Your girlfriend at the time, I assume? My mistake. Donovan shrugged, dismissing 8 years of absence. Sophia was unstable. Postpartum psychosis. She took the baby while I was in Tokyo closing a deal. By the time I returned and realized what happened, she'd already had her breakdown. Took me years to piece together where she'd left him. Rage built behind Elena's facade. So you knew your son was missing and did nothing for 8 years. I did everything, Donovan snapped. Private investigators, FBI connections, international searches. Sophia couldn't remember. The trail went cold within days. And now? Now I want my son back. The words hung between them like a declaration of war. I'm prepared to compensate you generously. Shall we say 5 million? Tax-free. You could buy a nicer house, take vacations, never worry about money again. Elena studied him quietly. You think you can buy 8 years of 2 a.m. feedings, first words and steps, Halloween costumes and bedtime stories? I think you're a single woman with limited resources who's done an admirable job with a child that isn't hers. But Noah deserves more. The best schools, global opportunities, his rightful inheritance. His name is Noah Martinez, and he has everything he needs, for now. But what happens when he needs specialized tutors? College tuition? Medical care you can't afford? From upstairs came faint piano music. Noah practicing scales. Both adults looked toward the ceiling and Eleanor caught something, almost human, flickering across Donovan's face. He plays beautifully since he was 5. Perfect pitch. His mother was musical, Donovan murmured. Sophia, I mean. Eleanor filed that information away. Mr. Cross, what exactly are you proposing? I want to meet him tonight. My son should know his real father. Absolutely not. Noah doesn't know anything about you. You can't just, I can do whatever I want. That boy is my biological son. I have rights. Rights you abandoned 8 years ago. Rights that were stolen from me by a mentally ill woman who kidnapped my child. Noah is my heir, the future of Crosstech Industries. Elena stood slowly, moving to the mantel where Noah's photos were displayed. Look at these pictures. Really look. Do you see an heir to a tech empire? Or do you see a happy 8-year-old who loves dinosaurs and builds robots out of Legos? See potential being wasted. That boy has my genetics, my intelligence. He should be in accelerated programs, learning Mandarin and coding. He's 8. He should be playing and laughing and skinning his knees at recess. This is exactly why he needs me. You think small, Ms. Martinez. You think small, Ms. Martinez. Donovan continued, standing to tower over her. Public school, piano lessons at the community center, Little League. I'm talking about Swiss boarding schools, private tutors, connections that will open every door. You mean doors that will lead him to abandon his own child on a stranger's doorstep? The words hung in the air like a slap. Donovan's face flushed. With anger! How dare you? How dare I what? Point out the truth. You talk about genetics, Mr. Cross. What about the genetics of abandonment? I didn't abandon him. He was taken from me. And in 8 years, you never thought to check doorsteps in the city where Sophia's family lived. Never considered she might have tried to find help. Donovan fell silent. She'd hit a nerve. You know what I think? I think you were relieved. Baby didn't fit your 5-year plan. Too messy. Too demanding. You know nothing about me, Donovan said through gritted teeth. I know you sent a lawyer to threaten me instead of coming yourself. I know you showed up with muscle like this was a business acquisition. I know you've been here 20 minutes and haven't once asked if Noah is healthy, happy, or what his favorite color is. Enough. Donovan pulled out his phone. William, come in, bring the papers. Ashford entered carrying a thick folder, placing it on the coffee table with finality. Custody petition, Donovan announced. Already filed, emergency hearing. Scheduled for Monday. My team has copies of Noah's original birth certificate, DNA test results from items retrieved from your trash, and affidavits from witnesses who can place Sophia in this neighborhood that night. Elena's hands remained steady as she picked up the papers, though her heart raced. You went through my trash? I did what was necessary to find my son. The adoption was fraudulent, Ms. Martinez. You knew there was a father out there. That's kidnapping in some jurisdictions. That's ridiculous, is it? You found a baby with a note. Any reasonable person would have tried harder to find the parents, unless they knew something, unless they were opportunistic. Elena looked up from the papers. Opportunistic? I was 26 years old, just starting my teaching career. I found a newborn on my doorstep in December, nearly hypothermic. I saved his life. And I'm grateful, Donovan said unconvincingly, which is why I'm offering you a choice. We do this the easy way. You agree to return Noah, I compensate you generously, and we part amicably. Or we do this the hard way, where my legal team destroys your life. Get out, Elena said quietly. Excuse me? Get out of my house. Her voice was steel. If you want to discuss Noah's future, we'll do it in court. Not with threats in my living room while my son is upstairs. Donovan smiled coldly. Your son, still clinging to that fiction. He moved toward the door. Monday morning, Ms. Martinez. Bring Noah. The judge will want to see him, might want to prepare him for meeting his real father. I'll see you in court, Mr. Cross. As Donovan stepped onto the porch, he paused. You know, I actually respected what you've done, but you should have known this day would come. Blood always wins in the end. Elena shut the door without responding, turning the deadbolt decisively. She leaned against it, finally allowing her hands to shake. From upstairs, the piano music had stopped. Mom? Noah's voice called from the stairs. Is he gone? Yes, baby. You can come down now. As she heard his footsteps, Eleanor straightened her spine. Donovan Cross thought he held all the cards, money, power, legal teams, biology. But he'd made one crucial mistake. He'd underestimated exactly how much Elena Martinez knew about the night Noah was left on her doorstep. She walked back to her bag, pulling out a USB drive she'd kept for 8 years. On it was the full recording from her doorbell camera. Not just the video Donovan's team had found, but the audio they'd missed. Audio that clearly captured Donovan's voice in the background, saying words that would destroy him. Monday couldn't come soon enough. The man who thought money could buy anything was about to learn that some prices were too high to pay. And the cost of his lies, it would be everything he thought he was entitled to. Elena looked up as Noah bounded into the room, his face bright with curiosity. Was that man mean to you, Mum? No, baby. Just confused about some things, but don't worry. Mommy will help him understand. She would indeed. With evidence, with truth, and with the fierce determination of a mother who'd spent 8 years preparing for exactly this moment. Monday morning arrived with unseasonable warmth for early May. Elena dressed Noah in his best outfit, khakis and a blue button-down that brought out his green eyes. He pushed scrambled eggs around his plate, unusually quiet. Do I have to miss school? Just this morning, sweetheart. It's important. Is it about that man, the one who came to our house? Eleanor sat beside him, taking his small hands. Yes, he thinks he's your biological father. Do you remember when we talked about how some families are made? Noah nodded solemnly. You said you chose me, that I was a gift someone left because they couldn't take care of me. That's right. And now that person wants to meet you, but you're my mum. I don't want another family. Eleanor pulled him close. You'll always be my son, no matter what anyone says. Remember that, okay? The courthouse loomed grey and imposing. Eleanor had expected media coverage, but found only a few photographers quickly shepherded away by security. Of course, Donovan wouldn't want publicity until he had his desired outcome. Inside the family court waiting area, Eleanor recognized Donovan immediately, surrounded by lawyers. When he saw Noah, something flickered in his eyes. Hunger, perhaps, or recognition. Ms. Martinez. A woman in her 50s approached. I'm Beverly Huang, the court-appointed guardian ad litem. I'll be representing Noah's interests today. Elena shook her hand gratefully. I'd like to speak with Noah privately before the hearing, just to understand his perspective. As Beverly led Noah away, Donovan approached. Up close, the resemblance between father and son was striking. He looks well, Donovan said softly. He is well. Judge Morrison tends to favor biological parents in custody disputes. Is that supposed to intimidate me? It's supposed to prepare you for reality. We could work out a transition plan. You could still see him. How generous. You'd let me visit the child I've raised for 8 years. Before Donovan could respond, a bailiff announced their case. Elena's lawyer, public defender Sarah Chen, met them at the courtroom doors. Remember, stay calm. Answer only what's asked. The courtroom was smaller than expected. Judge Morrison, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, reviewed papers as they took positions. This is a preliminary hearing in the matter of the minor child Noah Martinez, also known as Noah Cross. I've reviewed the emergency petition filed by Mr. Donovan Cross, seeking immediate custody based on claims of biological parentage and fraudulent adoption. Donovan's lead attorney stood. Your Honor, we have incontrovertible DNA evidence that Mr. Cross is the biological father. The adoption was processed without proper attempts to locate the biological parents. Sarah Chen countered. Ms. Martinez followed all legal procedures when she found an abandoned infant. She saved this child's life and has provided a loving, stable home. Let's start with facts, Judge Morrison interrupted. Mr. Cross, explain why you made no attempt to locate your son for 8 years. Donovan stood smoothly. Your Honor, my son was taken by his biological mother, Sophia Reeves, while experiencing postpartum psychosis. Despite extensive searches, we couldn't locate them. And Ms. Reeves' current status? She passed away 2 years ago. Only through reviewing her effects did we find clues leading to Ms. Martinez. Judge Morrison turned to Elena. Ms. Martinez, when you found the baby, what steps did you take? Eleanor stood, Sarah's hand on her elbow. Your Honor, I found a newborn on my doorstep at 3 a.m. in freezing temperatures. The note said the parent couldn't care for him. I immediately took him to the hospital where he was treated for mild hypothermia. And then I reported the abandonment to police and child services. When no one came forward after the mandatory waiting period, I petitioned for emergency foster placement, then adoption. Did you have reason to believe the child had been kidnapped, rather than abandoned? This was the moment. Elena felt Donovan's eyes on her, waiting for her to lie. Instead, she said something that made every lawyer lean forward. Your Honor, I'd like to submit additional evidence that wasn't included in my initial response. Judge Morrison's eyebrows rose. This is highly irregular. What kind of evidence? Eleanor reached into her bag, pulling out a manila envelope. Security, footage and documentation that provides context for the night in question. Evidence Mr. Cross's legal team might have overlooked. Donovan's attorney jumped up. Objection. We haven't had time to review. Your client ambushed mine with a custody petition after 8 years. Sarah Chen shot back. We have the right to present relevant evidence. Judge Morrison held up a hand. I'll review the evidence in chambers. 30-minute recess. As the judge left, Donovan turned to Eleanor, his composure cracking. What are you playing at? Elena met his gaze steadily. I'm not playing, Mr. Cross. I'm protecting my son. You should understand that. Or maybe you wouldn't. The courthouse cafeteria buzzed with muted conversations. Elena sat with Noah at a corner table while Beverly Huang occupied the seat across from them. Noah ate a grilled cheese sandwich, seemingly oblivious to the tension. You did well in there, Beverly said quietly. That evidence was unexpected. Elena sipped her coffee carefully. I've had 8 years to prepare. When you love someone like I love Noah, you make sure you're ready for anything. The GPS records from the company car. How did you get those? Nothing illegal. Let's just say Crosstech isn't the only company with good IT people. And sometimes former employees are willing to help when they hear about an abandoned baby. Beverly studied her.
With new respect, you've known all along he was there that night. I've suspected.
The timeline never made sense. Sophia taking the baby while he was supposedly in Tokyo, then randomly choosing my doorstep. She had no connection to my neighborhood. But Crosstech had just acquired a startup 3 blocks away. Why didn't you bring this up before? Eleanor met her gaze. Because knowing something and proving it are different, and because I hoped it would never matter. Mum, can I get a cookie? Noah interrupted. Just one, Eleanor said, handing him money. As he scampered off, she turned back to Beverly. What happens now? That depends on what Donovan Cross says when we reconvene. Judge Morrison doesn't tolerate perjury, especially in custody cases. Eleanor felt her stomach tighten. Even parents who abandon their children. If he admits he was there, he'll likely claim duress, temporary panic, anything to minimize culpability. Before Beverly could continue, Sarah Chen appeared slightly breathless. They want to meet. Donovan's team, they're in conference room B. Without the judge. They want to negotiate. Off the record. Elena stood, smoothing her skirt. Watch Noah. For me? Elena, don't go alone. I'll be fine. Conference room B was cramped, dominated by Donovan's legal team. The lead attorney, Harrison Klein, gestured to a chair. Donovan sat at the center, his earlier confidence replaced by something harder to read. Ms. Martinez, Klein began, but Donovan raised a hand. I'd like to speak to Ms. Martinez alone. Sir, I strongly advise, alone, Harrison. The lawyers filed out reluctantly. In the fluorescent lighting, Eleanor could see exhaustion around Donovan's eyes. That was cleverly done, he said finally. The GPS records, hotel receipts. You've been building a case for years. I've been protecting my son. Tell me, what's your end game? You expose me as being present that night. Then what? Then Noah learns the truth about his father. Donovan was quiet. What else do you have? Why would I tell you that? Because despite what you think, I'm not a monster. I'm a man who made a terrible decision 8 years ago. Have you? Is that why you searched so desperately? Oh wait, you didn't search at all. Not until Sophia died, and her family started asking questions. Donovan flinched. You've done your research. I'm a teacher, Mr. Cross. Research is what I do. I know Sophia's mother contacted you 18 months ago. I know. You told her the baby died. I know she hired her own investigator. How could you possibly? Because Margaret Reeves wrote to me 6 months ago. Eleanor showed him an email on her phone. She wanted to know if Noah was happy. She sent pictures of Sophia, told me about her daughter's struggles, about the pressure she was under. Donovan's mask cracked completely. She had no right. She had every right. She's his grandmother. And unlike you, she cared more about Noah's well-being than her pride. What did you tell her? The truth. That Noah is happy, healthy, loved. That he's brilliant and kind. That he was welcome to know her when he's older. That's generous. She also told me about the prenup Sophia signed. About how a baby would have voided certain clauses. Silence stretched between them. I didn't abandon him for money, Donovan said finally, voice rough. No? Then why? Donovan looked away. Because I was terrified. Sophia was breaking down, screaming that I'd ruined her life. Because I was 29 and built for hostile takeovers, not dirty diapers. Because when I held him, all I could see was responsibility I wasn't ready for. So you drove around until you found a house with toys in the yard and Christmas lights. Donovan's head snapped up. How did you? Traffic camera. You drove past my house 3 times before stopping. Sat there for 12 minutes. You've known everything all along. I've known enough. The question is, what are you going to do with the truth now? Judge Morrison's courtroom felt different when they reconvened. The aggressive energy from Donovan's legal team had shifted to something subdued. Elena noticed Harrison Klein glancing at his client with barely concealed frustration. Before we proceed, Judge Morrison began, settling into her chair, I understand the parties met during recess. Mr. Klein, does your client have anything to add? Klein stood slowly. Your Honor, my client would like to clarify certain aspects of his previous statements. Clarify? The judge's eyebrows rose. This better not be a euphemism for completely change his story. No, Your Honor. Mr. Cross simply wishes to provide a more complete picture of the events. Elena felt Sarah Chen tense beside her. Noah sat on her other side, Beverly Huang having agreed he could remain if testimony stayed appropriate. Donovan stood, hands trembling slightly. Your Honor, I need to correct my earlier testimony. I was not in Tokyo on the night my son was on the night in question. I was here, in the city. You lied under oath, Mr. Cross. I misremembered initially. The situation was traumatic. Stop. Judge Morrison held up a hand. I've been doing this for 23 years. I know the difference between misremembering and deliberate deception. Donovan's shoulders sagged. You're right, Your Honor. I lied. I was present when Noah was left at Ms. Martinez's home. A soft gasp came from somewhere in the courtroom. Continue, the judge ordered. Sophia had been struggling since Noah's birth. Severe postpartum depression, escalating to psychosis. That night, she had a complete break. She was convinced people were trying to steal the baby. She insisted we hide him somewhere no one would look. So you drove around looking for a place to abandon your child. It wasn't supposed to be abandonment. Sophia said we'd come back once the danger passed. She was delusional, but I thought if I humored her, I could get her help and retrieve Noah within hours. But you didn't. No. The word hung heavy. By the time I got Sophia to the hospital, she'd completely dissociated, and I was 29, running a billion-dollar company, and I panicked. I told myself someone had probably already found him. Elena watched him crumble, the confident billionaire facade falling away. Part of her felt sympathy. A larger part remembered the infant she'd found, blue-lipped and barely breathing. You could have gone back, Judge Morrison said. Anonymous tip, if nothing else. Because I was a coward. Because every day that passed made it harder. Because I convinced myself he was better off without me. Mom, Noah whispered, tugging Eleanor's sleeve. Why is that man so sad? Eleanor pulled him closer. Sometimes adults make mistakes that make them sad for a long time. Judge Morrison shuffled papers. Mr. Cross, you're now admitting to child abandonment, lying under oath, and potentially child endangerment. You realize this changes everything? I understand, Your Honor. Do you? Because you're asking this court to hand over a child to someone who's already thrown him away once. For the first time, Donovan looked directly at Noah, really looked at him, not as a possession or heir, but as a little boy with grass stains on his khakis and curious green eyes. I don't have a good reason, Your Honor. I can only say I'm not the same person I was 8 years ago. Pretty words, Mr. Cross. But this court deals in actions. Sarah Chen stood. Your Honor, if I may. Ms. Martinez has something she'd like to say. Elena stood slowly, aware of Noah watching her. Your Honor, what Mr. Cross did was unforgivable. He endangered an infant's life. Every legal argument says he should have no place in Noah's life. She paused, feeling the room's tension. But I've spent 8 years telling Noah his biological parents loved him but couldn't care for him. If we destroy that foundation now, what does that do to him? What are you suggesting, Miss Martinez? I'm suggesting Mr. Cross has a choice. He can pursue this custody battle, and I'll present every piece of evidence I have, including audio recordings that would destroy any chance of a relationship. Or he can choose a different path. Which is? Elena took a deep breath. Supervised visitation. Starting with letters, moving to video calls, eventually in-person meetings if Noah is comfortable, all at Noah's pace with psychological support. Mr. Cross would need to complete parenting classes and prove he's capable of putting Noah first. You're willing to allow the man who abandoned your son to have a relationship with him? I'm willing to let Noah decide when he's ready what kind of relationship he wants with his biological father. But only if Mr. Cross is willing to earn that privilege. The conference room on the courthouse's 3rd floor had flickering fluorescent lights and wheezing air conditioning. Elena arrived early, spreading documents across the scratched table with methodical precision. 8 years of careful documentation lay before her. Sarah Chen sat beside her, reviewing each piece. This is extraordinary, Elena. How did you manage all this? When you find a baby on your doorstep, you either panic or you plan. I chose to plan. The door opened, admitting Beverly Huang, followed by Donovan and a reduced legal team, just Harrison Klein and a younger associate. The army of lawyers from the morning had vanished. Ms. Martinez, Beverly began, taking her seat. I understand you have additional documentation? I do. But first, I think Mr. Cross should see everything. Donovan tensed. The recording you mentioned? Among other things. Eleanor pulled out her laptop. Let's start at the beginning. She placed a photograph on the table, a young woman with dark hair holding a baby. Sophia Reeves, 3 days after Noah's birth, sent by her mother, Margaret. Donovan's breath caught. How do you have this? Because Margaret hired her own investigator when you told her the baby died. She found me 6 months ago. Elena placed another document down. This details your movements that night, your subsequent cover-up, and your visits to Sophia in the psychiatric facility. You visited her? Klein asked his client. Donovan nodded. Slowly, twice a week for 3 months until she was transferred to Switzerland, where you continued paying for her care until her death, Eleanor added. Premium care, the best doctors, even while telling everyone the baby was kidnapped. I don't understand, Beverly interjected. If you were caring for Sophia, why not search for Noah? Elena placed another document on the table. Crosstech's IPO prospectus, filed January 2017, 1 month after Noah was abandoned. Sarah Chen's eyes widened. The morality clause. Any scandal involving the CEO could tank the offering. Exactly. A kidnapped baby generates sympathy. An abandoned baby reveals character. Donovan looked aged beyond his years. The board was already nervous. I was young, unproven. You chose money over your son. I chose wrong. The admission seemed to physically hurt him. Elena placed a hospital bracelet on the table. Baby boy Doe, admitted December 15, 2016, 3:47 a.m., core body temperature, 94.2 degrees, mild hypothermia and dehydration. The room fell silent. He almost died, Elena continued quietly. Another hour in that cold, she spread medical records across the table. Respiratory infections for 2 years. Attachment issues requiring therapy. Night terrors until he was 5. Stop, Donovan said hoarsely. Please. No. You wanted the truth? This is the truth. Every sleepless night, every hospital visit, that's your legacy. Elena opened her laptop and clicked play. The audio was surprisingly clear. Her high-quality doorbell camera had been a housewarming gift from her tech-savvy brother. Sophia's voice high and frantic. Here, this house, look, they have children. Then Donovan's, younger but unmistakable. This is insane, Sophie, we can't just... They're coming, they'll take him, please, Donovan, please. Just for tonight. Fine. But hurry up, and don't ring the doorbell. Just leave it and let's go. It's not our problem anymore. The sound of footsteps, a car door, an engine. Then, faintly, a newborn's cry in the cold. Elena clicked off the recording. You called your son it. I need a moment, Beverly announced suddenly. Everyone out except Ms. Martinez and Mr. Cross. Soon it was just the 3 of them. That recording would destroy any chance you have of a relationship with Noah, Beverly said quietly. Donovan nodded mutely. Ms. Martinez, you've had this for 8 years. Why didn't you use it? Eleanor was quiet. Because I looked at that baby and thought about what he'd need growing up. Not money or status, but stories. identity, a sense of being wanted. She pulled out a letter in child's handwriting. This is what Noah wrote for his biological parents on his 7th birthday. He writes one every year. She slid it across to Donovan. Dear biological parents, I'm 7 now. Mom says you loved me but couldn't take care of me. That's okay. My mom. Elena takes really good care of me. I can read chapter books and I'm learning piano. I hope you're not too sad. Maybe someday we can meet and I can play piano for you. Love. Noah Donovan broke down completely, ugly sobs shaking his frame. Every year, he writes, every year I tell him you're out there loving him from afar. Every year I lie. The afternoon sun slanted through courthouse windows when they reconvened. Donovan sat alone at his table. Harrison Klein had been dismissed, replaced by a younger lawyer who understood this was no longer about winning. Judge Morrison reviewed the agreement drafted during the extended recess. Noah sat between Elena and Beverly, occasionally swinging his legs, but mostly drawing in a notebook. This is highly unusual, the judge finally said. Ms. Martinez, you're giving up any financial claim despite Mr. Cross's clear culpability. Elena stood. Your Honor, Noah isn't a debt to be paid. He's a child who deserves the chance to know his biological father without the taint of monetary exchange. We've managed for 8 years. We'll continue. And Mr. Cross, you're agreeing to relinquish all parental rights while pursuing a relationship, entirely at Ms. Martinez's discretion? Donovan stood, his earlier polish replaced by raw honesty. Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Martinez saved my son's life and gave him a childhood I couldn't have provided. The least I can do is respect her judgment. Judge Morrison shuffled papers. The supervised visitation, psychological counseling, the letters. This reads more like a therapeutic intervention than a custody agreement, because that's what it is, Beverly interjected. Ms. Martinez is Noah's mother in every way that matters. We're trying to create a framework for healing. The judge turned to Noah. Noah, do you understand what's happening? Noah looked up from his drawing. Yes, Mom. The man over there is my biological father. He made mistakes when I was a baby, but he wants to maybe know me now. And Mum says, that's okay if I want it too. And do you want it? Noah considered carefully. I think everyone deserves a second chance. Plus I have questions, like am I good at math because of him? Several people smiled despite the serious moment. Ms. Martinez, are you certain this is the path you want? You could demand full financial support, restrict access completely, pursue criminal charges. Elena looked at Donovan, then Noah, then back to the judge. Your Honor, I spent years preparing for legal battle. But sitting here today, I realize winning in court isn't the same as winning in life. My son will grow up knowing he was adopted. I can give him a story of abandonment and legal battles, or I can give him a story of complicated people trying to do better. I choose the latter. Even knowing what Mr. Cross did, the recording, especially knowing that. I've had 8 years to be angry. But anger doesn't help Noah. Only connection can, however carefully managed. Judge Morrison nodded slowly. Mr. Cross, Donovan cleared his throat. I understand the gift Ms. Martinez is giving me. Not just access to Noah, but the chance to become someone worthy of knowing him. I failed as a father 8 years ago. I won't fail again. See that you don't. The judge's voice carried warning. I'm approving this agreement with modifications. Quarterly reports from the supervising psychologist. Any violation results in immediate termination of contact. Noah will have his own attorney as he grows older. She continued. Additionally, while Ms. Martinez has declined financial support, I'm ordering Mr. Cross to establish an educational trust for Noah. This isn't child support. It's an investment in the future Ms. Martinez has built. Elena started to protest, but the judge held up a hand. Non-negotiable. Noah deserves every opportunity. I accept, Donovan said quickly. Gladly. I'm also mandating Mr. Cross complete psychological evaluation before direct contact with Noah, followed by 6 months of supervised letter exchange. First in-person meeting, if it occurs, will be in a therapeutic setting. She looked directly at Donovan. You have no parental rights. You are, legally speaking, a stranger being given extraordinary access based solely on Ms. Martinez's discretion. Understood? I understand, Your Honor. The judge turned to Noah. Young man, you've been very patient. Any questions? Noah thought carefully. Will I have to change my name? No, sweetheart. You're Noah Martinez. Good. I like my name. He paused. Can I ask my biological father one question now? The judge glanced at Elena, who nodded. Noah looked at Donovan. Do you like space? Because I really like space, and Mom says interests sometimes run in families. Donovan's voice was thick. I loved astronomy when I was your age. Had a telescope and everything. Cool. Maybe you could tell me about it in a letter. I'm learning about Mars rovers. I'd like that very much. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. This matter is concluded. As people filed out, Donovan approached Elena cautiously. Thank you. I know I don't deserve. You're right, you don't. This isn't about what you deserve. It's about what Noah needs. Don't mistake my pragmatism for forgiveness. The recording stays with me forever. A reminder for both of us. 3 months. After the court hearing, Elena stood in her kitchen reading Donovan's latest letter to Noah. His 5th attempt at responding to their son's annual birthday letters, and the first she considered adequate. Dear Noah, thank you for telling me about your robot project. When I was 8, I tried to build a robot too. It didn't work well. One arm fell off and it could only move backward. But I learned something important. Failure is just practice for success. Mom, is that from him? Noah asked, entering already dressed for school. It is. Want to read it? After breakfast? Noah nodded, pouring cereal with focused intensity. Dr. Patel says I can ask him questions about genetics next time. Dr. Patel was the child psychologist overseeing their correspondence. Elena had insisted on therapy from the start, not because Noah was struggling, but to equip him with tools before struggles began. Mom, Noah paused mid-bite. Are you mad at him? My biological father? Elena had anticipated this question. It's complicated, baby. I was very angry for a long time, but holding on to anger doesn't help anyone, especially not you. But he left. Me? Yes, he did. And that was wrong. But people are more than their worst moment. He's trying to be better now. Is that why you let him write? Because he's trying? I let him write because you deserve to know where you come from. And because I believe people can change if they really want to. Noah considered this. I think I'd like to meet him. Maybe. Someday. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. When you're ready. The doorbell interrupted. Elena frowned. Too early for deliveries, and Mrs. Chen wasn't due for 20 minutes. Through the peephole, she saw a woman in her 60s, silver-haired and elegant. Elena's breath caught. She knew that face from photographs. Noah, go brush your teeth. But Mom, now please. Elena opened the door. Mrs. Reeves, Margaret Reeves, stood with uncertain dignity. Ms. Martinez, I apologize for arriving unannounced. I heard about the court proceedings. Please, come in. Margaret's eyes immediately found the photos of Noah lining the walls. Her hand flew to her mouth. Oh my, he looks like Sophia. The eyes, especially. May I? Margaret gestured toward a photo of Noah at his piano recital. Of course. Margaret studied it with tears in her eyes. She played too. Started about his age. She turned to Elena. Thank you for saving him, for raising him, for letting me know he was safe. You don't need to thank me. I love Noah. I also heard about the arrangement with Donovan, that you're allowing supervised contact. Very supervised. And only as long as it benefits Noah. That's more generous than he deserves. When Sophia got pregnant, he treated her like an inconvenience. I know, but Noah doesn't need to carry that anger. Margaret was quiet. You're a better woman than I am. No, just a mother trying to do what's right. Would you like coffee? Noah will be down soon. Margaret's eyes widened. I could meet him. You'd like. He knows he has biological grandparents somewhere. As Eleanor poured coffee, Noah's footsteps sounded on the stairs. He stopped short, seeing a stranger. Noah, this is Mrs. Reeves. She's your biological grandmother. Sophia's mother. Noah's eyes went wide. Really? Really, Margaret confirmed, voice thick. Hello, Noah. Noah approached slowly, studying her. Do you play piano too? Mom says I get that from Sophia. Margaret smiled through tears. I do. Not as well as Sophia did. I'm learning Moonlight Sonata. It's really hard. That was Sophia's favorite. She played it for her senior recital. Noah's face lit up. Really? Could you tell me about her? Margaret looked at Elena for permission. Elena nodded. I would love to tell you about your mother, Margaret said softly. She was brilliant and kind, and loved music more than anything. Well, almost anything. I think she would have loved you more. Another knock interrupted. Through the peephole, Eleanor saw Donovan holding an envelope, looking haggard. Noah, why don't you show Mrs. Reeves your piano? As they headed to the living room, Eleanor opened the door. Mr. Cross, this isn't appropriate. All communication goes through. I know, I'm sorry. But this couldn't wait. He held up the envelope. My lawyers informed me you never cashed the check. The court-ordered educational trust, $50,000 initial deposit. That's between me and the bank. It's been 3 months. The judge mandated you establish a trust. She didn't mandate I accept it immediately. From the living room came piano music, Noah showing off for his newly discovered grandmother. That's him? Donovan whispered. Elena studied him. The polished CEO was gone, replaced by someone who looked sleepless. Wait here. She walked to the offshoot living room. Noah, can you come here? Noah followed her to the foyer. Seeing Donovan, recognition dawned. You're him, my biological father. Donovan seemed to lose speech. He just nodded. Noah studied him intently. You look tired. Mom says that happens when you feel bad about something for too long. Your mom is very wise, Donovan managed. She is, Noah agreed matter-of-factly. Did you get my letter about the Mars Perseverance rover? I did. I'm working on a response about the Viking missions from the 1970s. Viking 1 and 2. Noah's excitement broke through. Those were so cool! First successful Mars landings. For a moment, Donovan smiled genuinely. You already know about them? I know lots about space. Mom says I might get that from you. Among other things, your intelligence comes from both your mothers. Noah considered this. That's nice, but sad too, because one is gone. Yes, it is sad. Sophia would have loved knowing you. Mrs. Reeves is here, Noah announced. She's teaching me about Sophia. Maybe you could all tell me stories together. Not today, he added quickly, seeing Elena's expression. But someday? When everyone's ready? The adults exchanged glances. Elena protective, Margaret hopeful, Donovan desperate. We'll see, Elena said finally. Right now you need to get ready for school. Noah looked at Donovan once more. It was nice to meet you. Really meet you, not just in court. Nice to meet you too, Noah. Very nice. As Noah ran back to say goodbye to Margaret, Donovan turned to Eleanor. Thank you. I know I didn't deserve your... Right, you didn't. And if you show up here again without permission, all contact ends, understood? Understood. I'm sorry, I know. But this has to be done right for Noah's sake. You're right. The trust fund, I'll deposit it when I'm ready. Your next letter, about the Viking missions. Make it good. He'll have thousands of questions. Hope flickered in Donovan's eyes. I will, I promise. As he left, Margaret emerged with Noah. Thank you for letting me meet him, Margaret said. He's wonderful. Everything Sophia would have wanted. You're welcome to visit, with notice. Noah deserves to know his whole family. Even the broken parts? Margaret asked, glancing toward where Donovan's car was leaving, especially the broken parts. How else will he learn that broken doesn't mean worthless? After Margaret left and Eleanor walked Noah to school, she stood in her quiet house thinking about the morning's convergences. 3 people who had failed Noah in different ways, all trying to build something better. She walked to her filing cabinet and pulled out the trust fund check. $50,000. She'd held onto it out of pride, but this morning reminded her that pride had no place in parenting. At the bank, the teller's eyes widened at the amount. Would you like to speak with our financial advisor? Yes. It's for my son's education. 6 months later, the supervised visitation center was warm and inviting, with comfortable furniture and children's artwork on the walls. Elena sat with Noah on a blue couch, his hand in hers, but relaxed. You okay, baby? Noah nodded, adjusting, the telescope pin on his shirt, a gift from Donovan's last letter. Just nervous. Good nervous, like before the school play. Dr. Patel entered with Donovan, who looked markedly different, softer somehow, more human. Hi, Noah, Donovan said, stopping respectfully. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Hi. You look less sad than before. A surprised laugh escaped Donovan. I am less sad. Therapy helps. I talked to Dr. Patel too. She helps me understand my feelings about having 2 moms and a biological father. Why don't you sit, Mr. Cross? Dr. Patel suggested. Noah pulled out a folder. I brought my science fair project about Mars colonization, since you like space too. For 20 minutes, Noah explained enthusiastically while Donovan listened intently, asking thoughtful questions that showed he'd done homework on talking to 8-year-olds. Elena watched silently, protective instincts on alert, but recognizing something unexpected. Donovan was really trying, not performing, but genuinely attempting to connect on Noah's terms. "Can I ask you something?" Noah grew serious. "Anything. Why did you leave me?" The room stilled. "I was scared," Donovan said simply. "That's not an excuse, just truth. I was young and scared and made the worst mistake of my life." "Were you scared? Of babies?" "I was scared of being a bad father." Which is ironic, because by running away, I became exactly what I feared. Noah considered this. "But you're not running now." "No, I'm not running now." "That's good. Mom says the only way to stop being scared is to face it. Your mom is very wise." "She is. She says you've been working hard to be better. Is that true?" "I've been trying. Therapy twice a week, reading about child development, volunteering at a children's shelter." "Mum, are you okay? You look like you might cry." "I'm fine, baby, just feeling lots of things," Dr. Patel intervened. "That's normal. Everyone here is feeling lots. Noah, how are you feeling?" "Good. Different than expected. I thought I'd be angry, but I'm not. Maybe a little sad that things couldn't be different before." 2 years had passed since that first supervised visit. Elena stood in her backyard watching Noah demonstrate his new telescope to an unusual gathering. Margaret Reeves sat in a lawn chair, smiling as her grandson explained refraction versus reflection. Donovan stood nearby, holding coffee Elena had made, looking more like a regular person than the CEO he'd once been. "And this one can see Jupiter's moons," Noah announced proudly. "Donovan helped me calibrate it last week." The casual use of Donovan's first name had evolved naturally. Not Dad, that would never fit, but not Mr. Cross either. Just Donovan, a complicated but definite presence in Noah's life. "Show me, dear," Margaret encouraged. Elena watched from the deck, marveling at how surreal yet natural this scene had become. Broken pieces of Noah's biological family, brought together by shared love for a remarkable 10-year-old boy. "Thank you," Donovan said quietly, joining her. "For this, for letting me be here. Noah wanted you here for his science fair celebration. First place, he wanted to share with everyone who helped. Still, 2 years ago I never imagined. Neither did I. But Noah has a way of changing what we imagine." They watched Noah teach his grandmother about constellations. The journey here hadn't been straight or simple. There'd been setbacks, days when Noah's anger surfaced, difficult therapy sessions, moments Elena questioned everything. But there'd been progress too. Donovan's dedication to therapy, his volunteer work, his patient responses to Noah's questions. He'd sold his Crosstech shares, becoming a science teacher at an inner-city school. Penance, he'd called it. Purpose, Dr. Patel had corrected. "Elena," Margaret called, "you must see this. Noah's found Saturn." Elena joined them, peering through the eyepiece at the ringed planet. Noah bounced beside her, explaining Cassini and ring composition. "Did you know the rings are mostly ice?" "I didn't," Margaret admitted. "But your mother, Sophia, loved Saturn, said it looked like God's jewelry box." "That's poetic. Maybe I'll write that in my science journal." As evening fell and stars emerged, Elena reflected on their unexpected shape. The recording still sat in her safe deposit box, untouched for over a year. Not a weapon anymore, but a reminder of how far they'd come. "Mom," Noah called. Tell them about the surprise. Should I? Yes, please. Noah's project was selected for state competition. We'll be traveling to the capital next month. That's wonderful. Margaret hugged Noah tightly. Can you come? Noah asked, looking between them. It's Saturday, so you wouldn't miss school, Donovan. And Grandma, I know it's far, but we'll be there, Donovan said immediately, then caught himself looking at Elena. If that's okay, Elena nodded. Noah wants his cheering section. All of it. Later, after Margaret left and Noah was getting ready for bed, Donovan lingered. Need to tell you something. I've been seeing someone, a fellow teacher. It's getting serious. Elena felt surprise, concern, but mostly relief. Does she know about Noah? Everything. She encouraged me to tell you immediately. Her name is Sarah. Special education teacher. Lost her husband, has a daughter Noah's age. And you're telling me because if things progress, she'll become part of Noah's world. You deserve to know who's in his orbit. You're his mother. You always get final say. I'd like to meet her. Coffee, neutral ground. Of course, thank you for being open. Noah's world is bigger than just us. As long as everyone has his best interests at heart, there's room. Mom! Donovan! Noah called. The space station's passing. Over in 5 minutes. They stood in the backyard, watching for the bright dot. When it appeared, Noah grabbed both their hands in excitement. There it is. People doing science up there. Maybe one day I'll be there too. Maybe you will. Elena agreed. I'll wave from down here, Donovan added. Proud of everything you accomplish. You'll both be old by then, but that's okay. Old people need hobbies. After the ISS passed and Donovan left, Eleanor tucked Noah into bed. Mom, I'm glad you let Donovan be in our lives. Yeah? Why's that? Because now I understand where I came from. All of it, good and bad. It helps me know where I'm going. Where are you going? Wherever I want. You taught me that. But also maybe Mars. Good night, my astronaut. Night, Mom. Love you to Jupiter and back. Love you to the edge of the universe and beyond. Downstairs, Elena read an email from Margaret thanking her for transforming tragedy into something beautiful. She thought about the recording in her safe deposit box. Tomorrow she'd destroy it. Not because she trusted Donovan completely, but because holding weapons meant always being at war, and Noah deserved peace. Under the vast canopy of stars, Elena felt complete. Not because everything was perfect, but because they'd chosen to build something better together. The future stretched bright with possibility, and she was ready for whatever came next. Because the best families were the ones you built yourself, one careful choice at a time.